Hi there, welcome to High Value Writing in Action, where we workshop real sentences from real writers like you. Today we're looking at a sentence that I actually brought up in the Writing Concisely video. It was one of the examples, and I thought it would be helpful to take it apart here. This sentence comes from a former participant in a class who works for a credit union and often has to let credit union members know some negative information, like if they're not being approved for something or they haven't done their paperwork right. But since the credit union folks are members, there's really a community-oriented feeling, and these writers want to make sure that they don't alienate their readers. Okay, so I asked this person who's their reader and what is their goal, like always, and let's take a look. So this person was writing to a credit union member, like I mentioned, and their goal was actually to provide information, official, formal information, but without sounding bureaucratic, right? Because again, it's a community credit union. They just don't feel like bureaucratic, cold vibes are what they're after. So the before sentence, like I said, I mentioned this on the Writing Concisely video because this guy is not concise at all, right? Let's take a look. This is to inform you. Sorry, but it's hard not to read something like this without kind of a voice. This is to inform you that we are waiting on one more piece of documentation in order to complete your file. It's polite, but it's also kind of long, and it does sound a little bureaucratic, a little distant, right? So let's walk through it, find if there are some words that really don't mean a whole lot, and see what we can do to pare it down. Okay, first thing, I always like to caution people about using these slow lead-ins that we sometimes accidentally use. Here we have, this is to inform you that. This is to inform you that. 6 words. Have you learned anything? No. You already knew it was to inform you. It arrived in your mail or your email, right? That is not informing the reader. Let's get rid of it. Okay, I feel good about we. We need that in there. We need somebody in the sentence, right? Are waiting on. Now I'd ask my famous question, is there a verb for that? Is there a verb for being waiting on something? Maybe something like need, require, want, whatever we'd want to choose to set the right tone, because that's what verbs are helpful for, setting a tone. One more piece of documentation. Piece of documentation. Do I have to say it with 3 words, or could I just say document? Or could I even better say what the document is? So they know exactly what I'm talking about. That would be better, right? And then here's one of those famous phrases that we use by default because we've heard them so often, but we don't really need 3 words to say in order to, which is literally the same meaning as to. We really only needed that 1 word. So with everything that I've kind of circled or crossed out, we can see that not everything in this sentence was actually informative. Part of high-value writing is writing with meaning and intention, and we're intentionally choosing words that are high in meaning and getting rid of words that honestly do nothing for the reader, and they just sound a little weirdly formal. So taking what we have remaining, I would probably end up with we need 1 document. Let's say I actually know what it is. We need form AF 8 to complete your file. I've gotten rid of the junky stuff. I've pared it down to something briefer, and it doesn't sound distant and bureaucratic anymore. It just says we need this form to complete your file. Another option, you could change it instead of focusing on us. Maybe we want to focus on the reader, meaning you. We're not going to be like, you, give me your file, right? But we know we can still use you as the subject or doer, just implicit, right? We don't have to say the word you. We could say, please submit form AF8 so we can complete your file, right? We always have that option. Do we want the who or doer of our sentence to be us or to be the reader, right? We can play with that too. So keep this in mind when you're going through your own writing. It's possible that you might have some phrases like in order to, this is to, that don't really carry meaning, but that we've just built up as a habit. Okay, so when you're working on a sentence that you want to make more concise, more bold, more meaningful, whatever your goal is, pop it in the comments and we'll get to your sentence next.